Hello, everyone. We're back for another episode. And today I have with me Sara Stalker. She is a trauma specialist psychotherapist. Try saying that 5 times real fast. An author and an intuitive coach. From her roots as a fitness and Pilates teacher to her current work in addiction and betrayal trauma, she specializes in whole human recovery. By combining clinical depth with intuitive insight, Sara helps high performers heal their past so they can finally trust their future. Look for her new book that's coming out. You are not as broken as you think you are. Liberate yourself from the shackles of trauma, and it is coming this March. So, Sara, I'm excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit more about what got you to this space of doing clinical work.
Well, thank you, Maisie. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here. I have wanted to help people, I think, since I can remember. That was my calling. I used to be a personal trainer. I was a yoga and Pilates teacher, and the pandemic had me shift because or I wasn't in Canada. We were pretty much on lockdown,
Yeah.
so I wasn't able to go to people's homes the way I was before. So I went back to school and got my degree. So I am here as a psychotherapist. But because I'm limited with psychotherapy in Canada, I can see clients in Canada, but I can't see clients in the rest of the world.
Right.
So doing this shift to intuitive coaching is the way that I can help people all over the world.
I love that. So tell me more, what goes into the intuitive side?
So I've always been I would say sensitive or an empath. I'm, HSP, highly sensitive person. I feel people's energy. I sometimes see things. So I felt like maybe that could be a way of also helping people. As a psychotherapist, I can't really get into that too much, right? I'm a little more limited. But yeah, I like to use my intuition, but also help clients tap into their own intuition and trust their gut. I always say, trust your gut. Your gut tells you so much. But we
Oh,
were taught,
yes, yes,
right? But
yes.
but we're taught as a society to be on a certain path and listen to uh, what people have to say, not listen to what your body is saying
Yeah,
or what you're feeling, right? Our body says so much, like what the work that you do,
yeah, they
right?
do. I mean, your body's always communicating in so many different ways. So, in your coaching that you're doing, what are some of the methods that you've created to support your clients? And how are you bringing in some of that with the psychotherapy work that you do?
Well, because a lot of coaches don't have the therapy and the background in helping people heal trauma and work with anxiety and other mental health disorders. I and also because I work with addictions.
Mm.
That's one of my specialties. So I can I have because I have that background, I'm helping people in the now and future versus as a coach helping them process trauma. That's
Yeah.
something that they should do
Okay.
with their therapist because that's something that I do in my other world. Um, so sometimes people feel they're at a place where they're stuck. Okay, so I'm in recovery with my addiction, or I've been a betrayed partner and my whole world has been turned upside down, or I've lost a loved one, or maybe it's a job they feel stuck in. So I feel like I'm that person to help them shift from what do I do now to, okay, let's talk about what your life can look like and help them work towards achieving their goals. And really, I know this sounds kind of cliche, but being the best version of themselves.
Yeah. Well, and also releasing the patterns that the trauma holds on you. I feel like that's a lot of
Yes.
the work that you do too in helping your clients to be able to break free from that gap, that tightness that trauma
Yes.
always holds on to.
Yes. Yes. And I would say that we can't erase our past. We can't change it, unfortunately, but we can heal. and we can learn and we can have new tools to live a healthier life and have healthier relationships, especially with my work with betrayed partners. There's often a reason that they chose a partner with an addiction, right? That could be their own childhood trauma or experiences. So betrayal trauma is real. It's a pretty significant trauma. Especially I work with sex addicts and porn addicts. And when a partner is betrayed, it's devastating. It shatters their world. Coming out of that is not easy, and trying not to repeat patterns is
Yeah.
another huge piece, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's actually going to be my next book, talking about that's a book that
Okay.
I've
Okay.
already started. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So when we're talking about betrayal trauma, give people some examples of what serious betrayal trauma looks like, and then some of the not so serious ones that we don't think of.
So the serious one is, for example, and this is just to be clear, this is my point of view. I'm not talking about any specific client. I'm just speaking generally. Um, let's say we'll say a woman who has been married for 15 years, 20 years, has kids, and her gut might be saying something is going on, something doesn't feel right. And she asks her partner if something is going on, if there's, if he's been outside the marriage or watching too much porn or doing something that just doesn't go with what their values are and what they thought was what the I would say the relationship contract going outside of that, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the addict, let's say, would gaslight them. That often happens, make them feel like they're crazy, the crazy making. But maybe they discover something on their phone or their computer, or maybe a affair partner advises them of some outside activity. That can be really, really devastating, as you can
Well,
imagine.
yeah.
I think a lot of us have been there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there, which is why I do this work. So that can look like unable to concentrate, basically PTSD symptoms,
Okay.
um, insomnia, nightmares, hypervigilance, anger, can be all kinds of symptoms that show up. I'm not diagnosing, but those are symptoms of PTSD.
Right.
Um, it could, but then there are other betrayals, like it could be financial betrayal is also something that happens within relationships. If someone has a gambling addiction, let's say, and unknowingly your partner is spending all of your money and your children's university funds and your retirement funds, and they have this whole secret life, that's a significant betrayal as well. So
Yeah.
those are just a couple of examples. In terms of a minor betrayal, I don't know, what would a minor betrayal be?
I'm trying to think of like some not so subtle one. I mean, not so serious, something that could be more subtle, something that we make light of. So, for
Hmm.
example, certain traumas that I know, like my clients will go through it, they're always comparing. Oh, it's not as bad as.
Oh, that is downplaying trauma, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Yes, which a lot of people do with their childhood trauma as well.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's okay. My parents drank a lot and they fought a lot, but they never hit me. Well, yeah, so there was no physical abuse, but there may have been emotional abuse, there may have been neglect. There are other things that happen to your nervous system when you grow up in a house like that. But I hear that a lot. People, not that I'm divulging anything specific, but that is a general thing that happens, which I mentioned in my book too, my book on trauma, that a lot of people downplay their childhood trauma,
They
and
do.
right, and it shows up as an adult. It will always come back.
Your body keeps the score. It holds on to those things. I know for some other clients, it's like, I remember growing up, and this will be some of the things that some of my clients have told me. I remember growing up, and it was always the promise that one parent was going to be there, consistently. Oh, I'm going to be there. Oh, yeah, 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 I'm going to be there. And time and time again, it was proven different. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I got busy. Oh, I couldn't make it. And I think that can also play into betrayal trauma too, because here it is, I'm putting my trust in you and you're breaking it time and time and time again.
And how does that show up in your clients?
So in my clients, that shows up I see that a lot in hormone imbalances. So clients who are struggling, either living in that estrogen dominance or, they're also low libido. So they're just constantly in that state of chronic fight and flight and always being on. Head hits the pillow and their brain's going 90 to nothing. And they're thinking about stupid stuff. What I have to do the laundry tomorrow. Okay. Like set it aside and go to bed. And the brain won't. It's going to do anything and
Yeah.
everything to combat that.
Yeah, when I see it, it's abandonment issues.
Yeah.
It can be not feeling good enough, self-esteem, low confidence. If you have a parent who's always promising you something simple, like I'm going to pick you up and take you for a meal, or I'm going to take you to your hockey practice, and you don't show up, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough? Right? And then that will definitely bleed into relationships if you don't heal and process that trauma or process and do some healing around it.
And sometimes you become the person that you didn't want to be
Mhm.
because you're so focused on those things.
People pleasing, the fixer, as I like to call it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And the fixer and the people pleaser tend to attract the damaged and let me help and save you.
Yes.
But meanwhile, hoping somebody comes and saves them.
And then how does that show up in the body too, right? Like the work
Yeah.
that you do and I do is it can show up in as IBS, it can show up
Yep.
as dysregulated nervous system. It can show up as chronic pain, migraines.
Yep.
There's so many ways that it can present.
Well, it can also go into the people who don't want to take care of them, like they're last on the list. I'm always on the back burner. I'm gonna take care of
Mhm.
everything and everybody else first. And then I'll just
Yeah,
wait. It's fine. I'll wait. It's fine. I'm good. Well, you're not good when your health is declining,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, and it's. I think there's a huge number of people who struggle with that
Yeah, there
because
are.
when you're a developing child and your brain is developing and your nervous system is developing and you don't get what you need, that is trauma. When you are exposed to, say, parents who yell a lot, or parents who are absent, or, well, my dad was always traveling and never made time for me when he was home. Those are all traumatic. Those all lead to the very strong potential for being a people pleaser and putting everyone first because you don't want to stir the pot, right?
Yeah.
I know you work with a lot of clients with trauma as well.
Yeah. And that's where that subtlety trauma comes in, where people are like, well, I didn't have it. It wasn't a horrible child. That's just who they were.
Mhm.
Okay, but your body took a story with that. You know.
Yeah, and then if you were to ask them, well, what would you do with your kids? What is
Yeah.
the response? Usually, oh, no, no, I would never
I
do
would
that.
never do that. I would
Right.
always show up and honor my commitments and promises.
Yeah.
And then we dive deeper into those things, as I'm sure you do. Like, where do you
Yeah.
not, though? Because those stories do still play out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And
So,
with sorry, go ahead, go
no,
ahead.
no, no. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just gonna say with when I think about betrayal trauma too, it affects the kids. It affects everyone in the household.
Yeah.
right?
It
Because
does.
often the parents are not communicating, they're not showing affection, there's a lack of emotional intimacy, and kids grow up seeing that, and then they're going to repeat the pattern.
Right. Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point because that's something that you could typically see in like addictions, when somebody's going
Mhm.
down the rabbit hole. So tell me, what kind of addictions do you work with?
So I have a specialty in sex addiction. I actually have a
Okay.
certification in that. So I work with a lot of clients who have porn and sex addiction.
Okay.
I do also do a lot of work with alcohol and other substance use. And food addiction is another specialty
Okay.
that I have. The A lot of people don't understand sex addiction. I think there's a lot of shame and guilt with addiction, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit different with sex addiction. A lot of people will say, I wish my husband was a coke addict instead of a sex addict. Like somehow it's easier to take, and it's very isolating. People don't want to share with their friends and family that their partner is a sex addict because of the guilt and shame around it,
Hmm.
which I think adds another level to it. It makes it harder. It makes it harder for the betrayed partner, but also for the person struggling with the addiction.
Yeah. Well, and then you become the caretaker of it, right? You become the enabler, whether you're hiding it or you're not intending to support it, but yet supporting it, you know?
And then with porn addiction, a lot of people will say, well, it's normal and everyone does it. And
Mm.
a lot of women don't actually want their partner to be watching any form of porn, and they've never really had that discussion early in the relationship about what is okay within their relationship and what isn't.
Mm.
And people will often ask me, well, when do you know if it's an addiction? And my answer for any addiction, but specifically this one, is, well, if you're unable to stop, if you are struggling within your relationship, if you're keeping it a secret, if there's guilt and shame, if you're using it as an escape
Mm.
and or a very maladaptive coping mechanism, then there's a good chance it's an addiction.
Mm. And that's so true and brings up a lot of things that even I've had conversations with my clients and them telling me, when because some of my clients they've had a partner who had addictions and addiction issues. And it is the same. There are similar stories with different ones. It was the hiding. It was didn't feel like they could come to me with anything and I'd find it or whatever. And I mean, I understand it, I guess, from both sides, but I also see it from the client's perspective and the betrayal side. That shifts the whole game and what you trust. And am I trusting myself? Am I too much for this? And am I not giving enough? Where did I go wrong? And how do I need to pour more? Maybe I need to do this over here. So, but it also makes me question when it comes to sex addiction specifically, what do you work with the person who has the addiction, or you also work with the person who has a partner who's an addict?
So most people who I see struggle with the addiction, but I
Okay.
also work with people who are betrayed partners, and I have worked with couples as well.
Okay. Okay.
So
But that brings me to like different questions that are going through in my brain. So on the side of working with the addict, is it how do you get to the point of them realizing, oh, hey, I am trapped in this loop? What's some of the methodology that you do to help support them in that?
well, a lot of times when they reach out, it's rock bottom. So they're at the
Okay.
point where they're ready to get help. That's
Okay.
usually the it comes down to that. I don't want to live like this. I want to change my life. I want to live a healthier life. I want to have healthier relationships. Um, But the psychoeducation piece is important. Kind of what I mentioned before about, well, if you're keeping it a secret and you're you're living this other life,
Yeah.
it's with any addiction, it's it's exhausting, it's stressful, you're carrying more guilt and shame because every time you act out, you're just repeating that cycle of guilt and shame. So that's one thing is the psychoeducation piece. And then the other piece is, okay, well, where did this start? Where, what did your childhood look like?
Mhm.
Is there any way of tying in your childhood experiences to what you're feeling right now? And then the other thing is the tools for moving forward. In the sex addiction world, we have a lot of tools. You can go to meetings. There's SAA meetings.
Mm.
It's kind of like AA.
Okay.
Um, they're very helpful, like 12-step meetings. There are all kinds of resources, books. There in mostly in the States, there are a lot of intensive programs where you can actually stay for whatever it is, 5 weeks, 10 weeks.
Okay.
They're all a little bit different. We don't really have that in Canada, but so a lot of people will go to the States for that.
Okay.
Um, but that also tells you how prevalent this addiction is in the world. And it's, when you think about some of the celebrities who've been in treatment centers and who've come out as sex addicts, like it's a real thing. It
Yeah.
really is.
Well, 100% I believe it because you're again, like you said, you're looking for that escape, that coping space. What are we actually running away from instead of running to?
Mhm. And there's a very high percentage of sex addicts who were sexually abused as a child.
Okay.
And like it's 80 something percent, 90 something
Wow.
percent of sex addicts have had some sort of childhood trauma. So it is significant. It is not when people say, "Oh, well, why can't you just stop?" Well, it's like any addiction. It doesn't work that way. You
Yeah.
have to do some healing around the trauma.
Well, it's no different whenever, you're with an abusive partner and everybody's around you saying, "Well, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave?"
Right.
That's
Yeah.
not that it ain't that simple. It's not the answer in the moment. Like that's not the right now decision.
Yeah, it's everyone has their journey, right? Everyone has
They
their
do.
life to live and they have to make the decision on their own. And with betrayed partners, that's another piece is they don't want to tell anyone because they feel that their partner will be judged by their friends and their
Yep.
family
Yep.
and then judge them for staying. But it's up to them. And if you have kids and you have a house and you love your partner
Yeah.
despite how they've hurt you, you work with them and you hope that your partner will, the addict partner, will help you feel safe and work towards repair. And if
Yeah.
they don't, well, then you make a decision, right?
Yeah. And only whenever that time is. Nobody can tell you that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water,
Can't
but
force it to drink.
exactly.
I say that quite a lot.
Yes. Yes, me too.
So on the other side, how do you support the partner who is the betrayed partner, the one who's going through those things? What are some of the things that you work with them?
So one thing is helping them with whatever they're struggling with in terms of symptoms, coping strategies,
Okay.
trying to stay present, a lot of grounding, a lot of mindfulness, but a lot of psychoeducation to help them understand what the addictive brain is like.
Okay.
Because it goes back to, well, why can't they just stop? Well, it doesn't work that way. I wish it was that easy, right? If there was a miracle pill, we would all
Right.
take one, right?
Yes. Yes.
Uh, so helping them understand what addiction looks like, helping support them through their own trauma, and encouraging them to find support groups too, because there are lots of support groups for betrayed partners. There's S and On, there are other groups that are not 12-step. lots of books, lots of podcasts, lots of resources out there so that they don't feel alone. Because that's the thing with addiction is it's a very lonely place,
Yeah, it
which
is. And
can
even
add to that trauma, right?
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yep. Look, there's lots of clients clicking in my brain right now, people that I've
Yeah.
interacted with over the years. I get it 100%.
Yeah.
So tell us
Yeah.
more about your book. What's in your book? Who's it for?
It is for, well, every time I talk to someone, I feel like you should read my book, which is why I've been working on it for 2.5 years. It is, it's really, it's a self-help book, but it's about understanding what trauma looks like, big T, little t.
Okay.
Um, Understanding that what you experienced is trauma, that, because talk about the downplaying, that happens a lot, downplaying your trauma. Um, but then also there are other kinds of trauma. There's health trauma. There's, um, medical trauma. Like some people have an illness or have had surgery, and there's trauma around that as well. And a big piece is encouraging people to find a therapist, work through the trauma, do some healing, and have some healthy coping strategies. Look after yourself. You don't need to, again, we can't change it. You don't need to live in that dark place. There
Yeah.
is light. There is light in the darkness. And there are ways to move forward and develop healthy coping strategies and not feel alone because everyone's trauma is different, but there are a lot of common elements, as you know, because I know you
Yeah.
have a lot of clients who have experienced it.
Yeah. It's isolating at times because you're pulling yourself away. You don't want other people to know. And then you don't want them to think different. Like you said, you don't want them to judge the person that you're with and say bad things about them. So you're going to always come in to protect them. And then you also, it's kind of like, well, I'm not a part of it. I'm trying to stay afloat here is where
Mhm.
most people end up becoming, and they're in that in between space. And it is dark and it is lonely.
Yeah, I think most people have experienced some form of trauma.
Mhm.
And I think that there's, well, I know there's always a way through it. It's just
Yes.
finding the right path, the right therapist, the right support, even just sitting with yourself and your own emotions and not running from them and not going into addiction to cope, but
Yeah.
feeling the feels, I would say, right? Like, because when you think about grief or you think about loss, I would say feel the feels. If you pack them down, they're going to come back and bite you at some point,
Hmm. And
right?
they always bite back harder.
Yes, exactly. So you got to dig it up, process it, do some healing, get some tools, and look for healthier relationships.
Yeah.
Maybe it means setting some hard boundaries with people in your life and cutting ties or setting some sort of boundaries and empowering yourself. That is a big thing for me with everybody I work with, whether it's in therapy or as a coach and even as a personal trainer. It's about healing and empowerment. Because if you can
Yeah.
empower yourself, you don't need me at some point, right?
Mhm.
I want you to be able to go out in the world and be your best self and live your best life.
Well, and you're learning how to lead yourself out of those things. That's like why,
Mhm.
when clients come to me and we're doing trauma healing, those types of pieces, nervous system regulation, it's learning how to do it in real time. Not just, here's all these great and fancy tools that you could use, journal and meditate in the morning and do all these things. And those are valuable and 100% useful. But when the
Yeah.
moment happens, all that shit goes out the window because that's our morning routine. That's not the in the moment routine. And that's a big
Yeah.
piece too, that I know you provide a lot of those tools with your clients too, of like, here's what we do in real time. Here's what we do in the moment. Here's how we shift the game. And it takes practice. It's not one and done because,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's not life. Life isn't like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely is. Because if you're only talking to me for an hour a week,
Yeah.
you need to have tools for the rest of the
Yep.
hours in the day and the week. And I'm a big believer in filling that toolbox because sometimes some things will work and sometimes some things you got to look for something else, right?
Yeah.
Um, I work with a lot of first responders with PTSD, and
Okay.
that's another thing. Some people are not working right now, some people are working, but it's about finding those coping strategies, healthy coping strategies, and grounding tools. And just like you said, sometimes shit goes sideways, and you gotta know what you can do to manage in that moment,
Yeah.
right?
And usually that's the hardest peak is in the moment. It's that, what do I do? And that's where we revert back to a lot of familiar patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Choosing unhealthy coping mechanisms. It can be food, right? If
Hmm.
you use food to cope, processed food we know is so addictive. A lot of people, I've been there, using sugar for comfort, carbs for comfort. But then some people use other things. But
Yeah.
it's tougher with addiction and trauma and unhealthy ways to soothe. It's tougher with things like the phone, even the phone. Forget about anything else that's on it, but just the phone itself or food, because those are things that are super accessible. And we
Yeah.
need food. We need
Yeah.
food to survive. So some of those things are a little bit trickier.
Yeah. And I think we don't always pin those as problems because, well, I can't be without my phone.
Right.
Like you said, can't be without food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it goes into that.
And the phone, I could talk for an hour about how horrible cell phones are, social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So destructive.
And I think it can be so just like you say, it's there's certain ways of using valuable tools. You can use it in a valuable way, but it's also at the end of the day, where are you? Where are you
Mhm.
finding time for yourself? Or where are you, if and I get like this because I get to those scrolling moments. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, God, did I even spend time with my kids? My kids were trying to show me all these cool tricks and everything else. And it's like, mommy missed it because mommy was vegging out and checking out. So
Yeah.
there's those check-in moments that I have with myself too. Am I being present? What
Yeah.
is the choice that I want to make here?
Yeah, no, totally. And what does your body tell you when you're doom
Yeah,
scrolling,
yeah,
right? Are
yeah,
you are you noticing your heart rate going up? Are
yeah.
you
Because I'm getting
noticing,
frustrated with some of the things I'm seeing. I'm like, let me
right?
respond to that.
Yeah, negative
1 minute.
emotions. Like
Yeah,
exactly. And then you've been on the phone for an hour or two and you haven't accomplished things that you could have accomplished, and then you get
yeah,
down on yourself, right? And, hey, I've been there. I have to check myself
yeah.
sometimes too.
And that's part of the work that you and I do too. And we're not here to shame it or judge it or
Mhm.
anything. It's recognize it and then look at other ways of creating healthier choices, it's repatternizing. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, healthy coping strategies. Check in with your body, check in with
Yeah.
how you're feeling. Like I've eliminated a lot of people I used to follow because I noticed that I would get anxious. I would have strong reactions. I would have an increased heart rate. And I thought, well, why am I doing this? What purpose is it serving? And I say to people a lot, what is so important that's on there that it's taking away from your self-care, your time with your kids, your time with your partner, your time with your pet. I say that as my dog is at my feet because sometimes, he wants my attention and I'm on the
Yeah.
phone, and that's not ideal.
Yeah. Me and my partner will be sitting in our chairs. And if we're both on our phone, Jackson, our dog, will come up to each of us and he'll be like, Dad, what are you doing? And then he'll come over to me and he'll just put his chin on my chair. Hello.
He's like, pay attention to me and get off your phone.
Yeah. And all he wants to do is get in your lap and go back to sleep. He doesn't care if you're on your phone after that. Just somebody let me in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get it. Well, thank you for your time today. Tell us how people can find you, talk about your contact info, different things like that. And then also if you have something I think you and I discussed a freebie that you wanted to share.
Yeah, so you can find me at Intuitive Healing with Sara. That is my Instagram and my Facebook. My website is Intuitive Coaching with Sara. And if you go to my website, then you can get some free information and some things that I'll be offering in the near future as well. I'll be doing some webinars and workshops, and my book will be out soon. So I might even put a little snippet of my book on there as well.
Yes. I'm excited for this book.
Yeah.
I know you are because you've been at it for a while now.
Yes.
It's
I
like
can't wait to
finally.
launch it. Yes,
Yeah.
I think of it as giving birth to that and then moving on to my next one.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time today. And we will catch you guys on the flip side.